What a fight in the middleweight division. These dudes wasted no time in getting back in there. Reiner De Ridder is taking on Anthony Hernandez at UFC Vancouver. Both these dudes just fought within like a few weeks of each other. Reiner De Ridder beating Robert Whittaker, and Anthony Hernandez absolutely dominating Roman Dolidze, and really just put entire UFC on notice with his performance. But really, Anthony Hernandez has been doing it with a crazy win streak. Middleweight is just in an insane place right now, and this just complicates the middleweight title picture because they got to, of course, decide who is next for Khamzat Chimaev. And we thought that Kyle Baralio versus Nasruddin Imavov was the clear number one contenders fight, no question. And I think that's a sick fight. But now the UFC has put a couple weeks from that Anthony Hernandez versus Reiner De Ridder. And this comes at such an interesting time because Reiner De Ridder and Khamzat Chimaev were literally going back and forth on Twitter in the last couple of days since Khamzat got the belt. And I really thought that they could maybe book that. I mean, we had the window of opportunity here for Khamzat to fight Reiner De Ridder or Anthony Hernandez in Abu Dhabi. So I guess the UFC has ultimately decided, no, we're not going to put Khamzat Chimaev on that card. He deserves to be on his own pay-per-view headliner. I actually think that they're going to do Umar versus Mario Batista on there because Umar and Batista, originally reports were saying they were going to be the main event on Vancouver. So maybe they're now saving Umar for the Abu Dhabi card. That could make sense. But wow, Anthony Hernandez is taking on Reiner De Ridder. What a fight. This is going to be high-level grappling, high-level. I mean, Reiner De Ridder has been looking dangerous and huge with the way he's been using elbows and knees. The liver shot he did to, with the knee he did to Bo Nickel, submitting Kevin Holland, Gerald Mearshart, and then pretty competitive fight, but ultimately beating he almost got finished though by Robert Whittaker. And Anthony Hernandez, right? Anthony Hernandez, one of the most dominant displays of a fight we have seen this year, and it is coming the week before Khamzat did what he did in his middleweight title fight. So you have, and I was already saying this in my recap of UFC 319, Anthony Hernandez has the best chance. Not saying he would beat Khamzat Chimaev, because I don't think anyone beats Khamzat Chimaev. But Anthony Hernandez is the most equipped out of all of the top guys right now in the middleweight division to possibly give Khamzat any kind of challenge. I don't believe that Kyle Baralio or Imavov or Reiner De Ridder possesses this grappling and wrestling skills. But from the kind of performance we just saw from Anthony Hernandez and the way he's just been doing it to all these guys, I mean, 12 out of his 15 fights in the UFC, I think, were all finishes, mostly submissions. He's just doing it at a different level. This guy has been a Fight Night main event guy for a couple cards now, including names like Marc-Andre Barriot, Edmund Shabazian, Roman Kopylov, Michel Pereira, Brendan Allen, and most recently Roman Dolidze, which was really a big win. And honestly, I wouldn't have even been so mad at it if Anthony Hernandez got a title shot right now. Just so we could keep Khamzat Chimaev active, if that's what the UFC chose to do, while we wait for Baralio and Imavov, because Imavov and Baralio, none of them will be ready for an Abu Dhabi turnaround. Anthony Hernandez just fought, but October, and Reiner De Ridder just fought. But no, the UFC's decided we're going to sort this middleweight title picture, by putting Reiner De Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. And I really thought that Reiner De Ridder was going to fight maybe Dricus next. That would have been a sick fight, because they're both the goofiest fighters. And now that Dricus has lost, that could be a great fight for Reiner De Ridder to claim his spot, while Anthony Hernandez fights the loser of Imavov Baralio. But they're putting Anthony Hernandez now against Reiner De Ridder, and this is going to be super interesting to see. But my first impressions of this fight are that Anthony Hernandez is going to beat Reiner De Ridder. I just think Anthony Hernandez is that good. And Reiner De Ridder, sure, he's big, lengthy, he has good knees, he has good elbows. But I don't think that I don't know if he's on the level of Anthony Hernandez. And Anthony Hernandez has an insane gas tank. He's like the Marab of the middleweight division. He's just built different. And I think he's going to, I wouldn't say handle Reiner De Ridder the same way he just handled Roman Dolidze, but I mean, Anthony Hernandez, yeah. So this is phenomenal, bro. UFC Vancouver, what a main event between two middleweight high-level contenders. It is a shame, though. I really thought that they were going to end up booking Khamzat versus Reiner De Ridder. They both looked ready to fight on that card. So, yeah, Reiner De Ridder, this is just him here. I mean, this guy, the way he fights, honestly, might be the boring grappling and all that, but nah, he's entertaining, bro. The way he was smiling when he was subbing and choking out Roman Kopylov, and the way he was smiling and the way he was handling Roman De Ridder with just such a master class, literally having his way with Roman De Ridder, every single takedown, that's the kind of stuff that you could say, okay, that could be something to combat Khamzat Chimaev with. Again, I don't think anyone beats Khamzat, but I think Anthony Hernandez actually could be the best chance. So that's the UFC Vancouver main event. I mean, and Reiner De Ridder, since he came to the UFC, super active, really just doing it all. Beat Gerald Mearchar, Kevin Holland, finished Bo Nickel and killed his hype, and then had to beat Robert Whittaker, who we all love. I mean, I really thought Robert Whittaker was going to get the finish in that fight when he got Reiner De Ridder knocked down. So that was a quick moment. But Reiner De Ridder ended up pulling through in that fight. Yeah, so Reiner De Ridder very active. 5th fight. Quickly climbing. But yeah, So that is the UFC Vancouver main event. Super interesting main event between Anthony Hernandez and Reiner De Ridder. And then a quick side note, but Kevin Holland is back on the card as well. Kevin Holland is going for the record of most fights in a year, probably. I think, what's the record? 7? And dude has been fighting really well. He just had a really entertaining fight, but I mean, ended up losing to Daniel Rodriguez. It was kind of just a low IQ fight. Two just guys that had no gas tank at the end and just were completely, I don't know. Neither guy could finish each other, but it was just a very highly entertaining fight. But yeah, Kevin Holland was put on the card. He's fighting Mike Maylott. Cool matchup. I think a very winnable matchup for Holland as well. So if Holland bounces back, then again, he just keeps on winning fights, losing fights, whatever. Kevin Holland. And then you also have Amin Zahabi versus, Cheeto Vera on that card in Vancouver. So yeah, UFC Vancouver happening in October, and loving this main event. The middleweight division is looking really interesting right now with these two big contender fights now happening. And I guess from the results of both, the UFC will ultimately decide who's going to get the shot versus Khamzat Chimaev.